right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Who Knew in the Moment, the podcast. Today, I am honored to have Marc Jenkins on, and you're about to hear a fascinating story. Marc's story is one from, being overweight at one point to really taking ownership and wanting to lose weight and get in phenomenal shape. And now he helps others do that as well. A burning passion of Marc's is to help everyone have the fitness education they deserve, but also the nutrition that they should get as well. So we're going to talk about that today. But one quote that Marc has that I think just really stuck out to me, and I think it'll hit home with all of you, is the real secret to staying in shape is to find a real reason that inspires you to live a healthy life. And so, Marc, I think that's a great phrase, and it's going to help impact our conversation today, my man.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So Marc, talk a little bit about it. Grew up in Brooklyn, and early on in your life, there's some trials that happen for you as a kiddo.
Yeah, I grew up in Brooklyn. I'm 50. I'll be 51 Sunday, May 2nd.
If y'all are just listening to this, he does not look a day over 35, by the way. So
I'll be 51 May 2nd. Thank you. Yeah. And, I grew up in Brooklyn in the early 80s. I was a teenager. I'm 1970 born, so by the time I'm 15, 16, it's in the 80s. And, that was the crack era in and out, beginning and end. Pretty rough in Brooklyn. My dad died when I was 2. So my mom sent me to dancing school. So, my beginnings was tap, jazz, ballet, modern, gymnastics, and no sports. So, she did the best she could.
Yeah.
I grew up dancing, so I didn't grow up playing basketball. I didn't know how to play football. I don't think I shot a basketball until I was like, maybe my last year in high school or something like that. So I didn't have any type of sports background. Kids in school found out I was dancing. They started bullying me. I stopped dancing. I didn't know that was the only thing that was keeping my weight off. My family's Caribbean, West Indian. My mom's from Antigua. And, high starch, high sodium.
Yeah.
not the best diet, the West Indian diet. So before I knew it, I was maybe a 45-inch waist and running home from school, literally trying to keep my sneakers on my feet. They should steal people's sneakers back in Brooklyn, right off your feet in the middle of the winter. You have to walk home with, shoeless in the snow.
Yeah.
So I used to have to, my daily ritual of leaving school was like, look out, see if there's any gangs there, whatever. Make sure I could run home, find an escape route to get home every day. And I knew it was only a matter of time before I would get into some incident because I was just bait out there. I couldn't really defend myself. Yeah. Although I tried to fit in, like I said, I didn't have any sports background. I couldn't jump in and play ball. I couldn't really interact because I didn't have the skill level. So, although I tried, I never got picked. When I did get picked, everybody was mad at me because I didn't know how to shoot a basketball. I didn't know how to dribble or anything. So, I just knew it was a matter of time. And, maybe 2 years before, I had a dancer's body to go into a 45-inch waist to smoking cigarettes, drinking 40s. And I just knew I had to do something to change my life. So as I was walking home one day, I walked past the recruiting station in the military. And, I knew I was too fat for the Marines. I knew there's no way I could pass the Army physical. Yeah. So I said, okay, it's between the Navy and the Air Force, The Navy guy goes, yo, they got McDonald's on the aircraft carrier. So, and I was like, where they got McDonald's? Signed up right for the Navy, just for the McDonald's,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was all of 17, so I had to get my mom to sign a waiver. So the petty officer comes to my house, he's like, you got to sign this waiver so you can go in the military. My mom's like, are you sure? Because, I'm straight mama's boy. Didn't even make up my own bed.
Yeah.
And I said, don't embarrass me in front of the petty officer. Just sign the papers. And she just gave me that look like, all right, and she signed. And I ended up in boot camp at 17. I must maybe, I think I might have turned 18 5 months after I was in.
Okay.
Yeah, so I ended up, go ahead.
No, so there's a lot to unpack there. So I want to rewind a little bit, and I want to just talk about, your self-perception as a young man, right? So you mentioned, hey, I had a dad pass away at 2. So grew up, relatively without dad, but then also, like you mentioned, you were put in an environment which once again, dancing in and of itself is actually really good to teach yourself, different ways that the body should move and things like that.
Right.
But from a standpoint of maybe being
survival standpoint,
that doesn't go
it's not a good move
for a guy.
No.
Talk a little bit about how that impacted you and just yourself and maybe self-esteem growing up.
I went from being in an environment, it was like night and day. The dancing school was in Manhattan, and these kids were, like seriously trying out for musicals. I think I might have tried out for a tap dance kid. At the time that was a Broadway show that was playing. I went from that environment to going back into the hood. From that environment, going back into the hood. So at the one point, I saw that there was a different way people were living.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Yes.
Because a lot of times people growing up in the hood, they don't see anything different.
Yep.
So they don't know that there's anything else to aspire to.
Right.
So that was great.
Yeah.
But then once people found out I was dancing, like, yo, how come you can't play ball? So I'm going, I think I might have mistakenly told somebody.
Yeah.
Dancing ballet, I didn't think anything of it. And then, that it was a wrap after that.
Yeah.
And, to paint the picture for you, like, I'm going to school stepping on crack vials. This is like the crack era.
Yes.
We were playing kick the dead body in school. People used to OD. I think my high school was the first high school to get metal detectors in New York.
Wow.
So people were getting shot in the schools, getting thrown out the windows, and I was just bait.
Yeah, right.
Basically, I couldn't defend myself. And I knew from going to dancing school that there was something else. I had a dancer's body all but 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I went from just getting depressed and just started trying to fit in. I started smoking.
Yes.
I hooked on cigarettes, trying to fit in. I started drinking.
Yep.
40s. Then I became the fat guy, and they used to actually call me sucking the gut. I was always sucking in my stomach in high school. That was my nickname.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask you about that. And, you mentioned that at one point that name just bothered you and you decided, you know what, I'm not going to be that name anymore.
Yeah. I said, it's not, like I said, this is not how I want my life to be. I don't want to go out like that. I said, I'm not going out like this. Let me try to do something. How can I get in shape? I didn't know anybody who can get me in shape. I said, fuck, I'm lazy.
Yeah, right.
I've been smoking and drinking for the last 2 years going through high school. I didn't feel comfortable speaking to any of the counselors or anything, nor did they care too much in the school I was going to, public school at that time. They didn't give a damn either. So I was like, I got to put myself in an environment where I don't have any choice but to get in shape. And the only thing that I could think of that was free was the military.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was like,
absolutely.
It was like an epiphany, like a light came on, like, okay, let me try this.
Yes. So as you're in the military, there's a gentleman that's lifting one day and you decide, you know what, I'm going to go inquire from this person how to kind of start looking like they look. So talk a little bit about that first step in getting into lifting with him.
Yeah, so, I barely made it through boot camp. And if you guys been in the military, like the Navy is one of the easiest boot camps there is it's 8 weeks. I couldn't do 10 push-ups when I got in there. I don't think I could do 5 push-ups when I got in there. So I lost a lot of weight just going through the boot camp experience, learn how to make up a bed, but I was still overweight. I still had the gut, although I made it through boot camp. So, they sent me to my school in Meridian, Mississippi.
Okay.
Because they teach you before you get on the aircraft carrier what your job is, So I was in aviation. So I was an aviation storekeeper in the military, which you don't even have that job anymore. So it's a supply job.
Okay, got it.
You do the fuel and you make sure what the budget is for the planes, and you order parts and next hire assemblies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was a desk job, and I made sure I had a desk job because I was so out of shape.
Right.
I didn't want anything physical. So I had it all planned out, not to overtax myself. So we go to school in Meridian, Mississippi, which at the time, this had to be 1988, 89, you could not leave the base because they had a Ku Klux Klan outside.
Yeah, and there was sign?
And there was a sign, right?
The base,
if you left the base, you're on your own. We can't help you if you're Black, but you're supporting the United States government. You're part of the government at the same time, but no protection outside of the base.
Wow.
So just to give you to paint the picture of what it was. So, I'm still searching, trying to find my self-esteem. I felt empowered. I made it through the boot camp. A lot of people actually didn't make it through.
Right.
I don't think I completed any physical task, but they let me through because I never quit.
Yes.
So there's a difference, you know. They have a lot of people who are in better shape than you who don't make it because they'll quit at a certain point. But I never quit. I was just like, okay, whatever happens, happens. I didn't have anything to go home to.
Yeah.
In my mind, my mom bankrupted herself, sending my sister to college.
Yep.
There was no money for me to go to college. So it was either this or, you know, crime. And I wasn't built for that.
Right.
At all.
Absolutely. So throughout your time.
I see this guy, he's all buff. And I'm like, dude, you know, I want to train with, you know, how can I look like you? And he's like, you know, well, you know, I'm training to be a SEAL.
Yeah.
If you want to train like me, you can't quit. And I was like, dude, I just want to see my feet in the shower, man. I'll do anything you say. I haven't seen my feet in the shower for years, man. And I guess I must have moved them. And I got introduced to weight training.
Yeah.
You know, and these guys are weight training, you know, you be doing squats, they be punch you in the stomach, you know, you got to finish the set, you know, hardcore training.
Yeah, hardcore stuff, yeah.
Environment to another, to literally like throwing up every leg day, you know, throwing up every single leg day.
So something I want to unpack there though, that I think is powerful in regards to progress, right? Your first goal wasn't, I want to go from where I'm at to a 6-pack, right? Your first goal was, hey, I want to lose enough weight where I can see my feet
in the shower, amongst other things.
Yeah, right.
And I had some big man boobs. And I wanted to get rid of those.
Yeah.
So I had the man boobs and I had the gut, and I was all of 17 years old. And you know, it's a big reason why youth today turn off, you know, in society and go in the wrong direction is a self-esteem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just not feeling good about yourself. You don't feel positive. You feel like you don't have any positive prospects going on. You know, you can't get a girlfriend.
Yep.
You know, I couldn't get a girl. People used to laugh at me. They sent me notes like they liked me to see if I would check it back, and then the whole class would be in on it laughing.
Oh no.
You know, because I was the fat kid.
Yeah.
You know, so you go through that. So, you know, and I think that helped me to be a better trainer now because I actually can relate. I'm not a genetically gifted trainer.
Right.
You know, like a lot of these trainers, they're genetically gifted. They never went through that. They don't know what it is, but yet they're trying to motivate someone else to get in shape. Not to say they can't train, but I think I have a particular insight. You know, when I'm telling my client, hey, you're fat, or you can lose those man boobs or whatever, they don't feel insulted because they know I've been there before.
Right.
As opposed to a superiority thing. You know, you need to get in shape and you feel like that. So it's from a different perspective. You know, I've been in the trenches.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that's a business principle, right? I mean, some of the best leaders in a business or in an organization are ones that started at the bottom of it and they know the entire process because they can relate, right? When you just come in as the CEO of a company and you didn't do any of the things to get there, it's like, well, I'm complaining and you're trying to understand, but you can't because you've literally never done this task.
Right. And a lot of those CEOs have lost their fortunes and got it back.
Yep, exactly right.
Again, which I find out later on because I started training CEOs, you know?
Yes, sir. But before you started training CEOs, and you call it your first victim, so you start getting in shape while you're.
So I started getting in shape. I started training with this guy, you know, hardcore training, man. You know, jumping rope with boots on, you know.
Yeah.
3-pound steel toes. You know, the Gulf War, Desert Shield started. We were just out on patrol in the ship, and they landmined us into the Persian Gulf, and we had no rescue out there, and that became Desert Shield. And then we ended up staying out there, and that became Desert Storm. And that turned into the whole Gulf War thing. I was like the first patrol ship to actually get caught out there. But for me, you know, there was 2 gyms on the ship. I was on the USS Constellation, aircraft carrier, and there was 2 gyms on there. And, you know, I was determined to like, okay, this is great. I'm, you know, trapped in the Gulf. There's 2 gyms here. I can get in on either side of the ship. Yeah. I'm just going to work out and get into the best shape of my life. So, you know, you got 12 hours on, 12 hours off, and you have a watch, you know, usually. So then, you know, every time that I wasn't on watch or I wasn't working, I was in the gym. I think they had Cybergenics workout, muscle building supplements back then. We ordered that. The whole ship was on Cybergenics and doing the Cybergenic workout. And, you know, I was just trying to, again, find myself. I was only but 17 or 18 years old. Right. And empower myself. And my first client was someone who was going to get kicked out because he was overweight, a buddy of mine.
Yep.
By the time I finished training with the other guy and started my own fitness pursuits, I was 250 pounds, 22-inch waist, 29-inch waist, 22-inch arms, 32-inch thighs, 250. But more importantly, you know, I could look people in the eye. Totally life-changing.
Yes.
Totally life-changing. The way people perceive me, you know, and then to be in the military and you're in charge of, you know, $1 million of equipment or 200 or 300 people and you're only 17, 18, it was like a whirlwind. Like, wow, okay, I felt like I was empowered, you know?
Yes.
And, you know, I had a buddy of mine, he was overweight. I said, dude, I'll just show you what the SEAL guy did. You know, I trained him and he got in such good shape. I became the go-to guy for all the guys who were going to get kicked out, who were, you know, overweight or out of shape. A lot of people came to me to get them in shape.
Yes.
So I would train people.
And so this is a pivotal moment because it seemingly was nothing, right? You're like, well, I'm just passing on the knowledge someone else passed to me.
Yeah,
like,
there's nothing I wanted to do as an occupation. I wanted to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
Because there's so much of the racial disparity that was in the military. I said, you know, I want to be a civil rights lawyer.
Yeah.
And just me initially getting into the school and then not being allowed to leave the base where everybody else get off the base, you know, that's when it hit me. You know, a lot of times when you're living in the hood, you know, it's everybody's the same. So you don't really notice the discrimination.
Right.
It's only once you get out and try to do other things and you feel that ceiling, you know, and I kept on feeling that ceiling. Why are we getting all the shitty watches? Why are the black guys getting, you know, the max non-judicial punishment for doing something when other guys just skate off? Why is this happening? You know, I said, man, I want to be a lawyer and try to fight this. You know, I got the GI Bill, and I can go to college and do something with it. Yeah. So, you know, when I got out, I got out in 92.
Yeah.
I might have had 3 years sea time out of my 4 years deployment, which is like unheard of. You can only do that in war because usually, you know, after a year or whatever, they'll give you, that'll be your 4 years. And then you rotate and then you get another year at sea, another year and a half at sea.
Okay.
So I had a lot of sea time for one deployment. So I was pretty much done with the military.
Yeah.
At that point. And I didn't feel that great about supporting an organization that was discriminating against me at the same time.
Right.
So it's a lot of conflicting, but now I'm empowered. I know I went through the boot camp. I'm 250, 29-inch waist. I know I can make it anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and I survived Brooklyn. So I'm fully empowered and I'm ready to embark on my new life as a civilian. And people would ask me, what am I going to do? And I'll be like, listen, I'm just going to use the training that I got in the military to go make some money. Because now I have the mental edge. You know, I know how to push through. I know that there's an order of operations to get everything done.
Yes.
The military taught me. I know there's a sequence in doing things. I know if you work hard enough, things will happen. And I know you can reach a tipping point by applying yourself. And I'm self-motivated now. So although I had a lot of problems in the military, I learned invaluable lessons at the same time. I just wanted to make that clear.
Yes.
You know, I didn't want to dog the military. You know, there's no... For kids like me, there's no initiation into manhood other than gangs or the military. You know, if you're growing up fatherless, so, you know, the military really played a pivotal role in my development.
Absolutely. Well, and so something that I want to highlight there, you know, one, I'm sorry that you had to go through the racial part, right? That it's unfortunate in a situation where the common cause is protecting, right, a country, that's still there. Two, I think something that's powerful is your ability to say that is unfortunate, but I still had life-changing events happen while I was there, right?
Right.
And so one of the things that you mentioned was, you know, self-improvement, self-confidence going up, but secondly, importantly with that was the discipline, right? Like you now had the discipline to understand that I can change circumstances, right? I can change the narrative of my story and I can get to where I want to go. I don't have to just settle for where I'm at.
I could be the author of my own story.
Yes. Yes. That's so good. So as you're leaving the military, right, you need to find a gym and, you know, you say, well, I'm not going to just go to any gym.
I get the most expensive gym. Yeah, I go to the best gym my money, because, you know, I'm getting out the military and, you know, I'm dealing with bills now.
Yeah.
Because you pretty much don't have any bills in there.
Right.
Other than the ones you acquire. So, you know, ones you acquire yourself. Like if you buy a car when you're in there, then that's on you.
Yes.
You know, I didn't have a car. You know, I had bills I was looking at. I didn't want to live with my mom forever. I think I moved back in with my mom initially after I got out to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
And, you know, I said, you know what? I don't have a lot of money, but I'm going to make sure that I'm able to maintain my physique.
Yes.
I'm going to make sure I'm able to stay in shape. So I paid for the best gym membership I could possibly get. It was called a Vertical Club.
Yeah.
At the time. And if you look at it back in New York, it was like this real swanky gym. And, you know, a buddy of mine had a hookup. So I think I actually paid the manager cash and he made a fake membership for me. So I didn't have any monthly. I can say it now, right? It's so many years ago.
Yeah,
Right. So I think I might have hit him with like $500 or $600. Yeah. And then he gave me a so now I was a member at this gym. Yeah. And it must have been thousands, you know, at the time. And they had 3 or 4 different locations, and I would go to the locations based on where I was working, you know. And I did a myriad of jobs. I bounced, you know, I bounced at a mafia club, which was funny because, you know, anytime somebody acted up, you were actually scared to bounce them out because they were in the mafia. Right. So I would always have to talk to them. And then again, it's like one of these situations where I'm the only black guy. I said, hey, man, you know, I know you're a boss, man, please. Can you just have a drink? You know, I can't really bounce you out of here. I don't have no authority. You know, come on. Take it your drink. And I ended up buying everybody drinks and became the coolest bouncer, you know, because I knew that was a mistake, beating up any of those guys.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I ended up in the post office. I was a waiter. I did catering events. You know, I worked all kinds of jobs.
Yeah.
And I was going to college, trying to go to school, you know, using my GI Bill. Yep. And I ended up working in the post office midnight to 8:30. Which was similar to what I did in the Navy. I worked the night shift, you know, because you're working 12 on, 12 off.
Right, yep.
Yeah, so that was no problem for me. Yeah. And then the gyms were empty in the daytime.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to wait for anything. You know, I'd be training early in the morning. Right up when I get off to work, I'll hit the gym.
Yeah.
And, you know, they kept giving me so much mail because I was bigger than everybody else, but I was getting the same amount of money. The one manager asked me, how's it going in the gym? And I was like, oh, man, this is size discrimination, man. I'm breaking down 10 times the amount of males everybody else, but I'm getting paid the same money. I said, this shit is crazy.
Yes.
And, you know, one thing about the post office, I guess that's why people go crazy. It never stops.
Right.
I give people credit.
Yeah.
Who work in the post office because the mail never stops, man. Like there's no time where you can actually take a break because it's always mail coming in.
Wow.
So you're working. That's a hard job. That's a real job.
Absolutely. And so the owner of the gym, right, kind of starts talking to you about, well, maybe you should do something where you can get paid if you work harder.
Yeah. He goes, well, you know, you're cool, Mark. You know a lot about fitness. You know, why don't I give you a job as a trainer? And I was like, really? And I never considered that. I said, well, shit. Yeah. What I got to do? He's like, well, you got to get certified, man. You know, you get certified, I'll get you a job. So I got certified and I started working in a gym. The only thing, the gym is not paying any money, you know, and I quit the post office and it has no benefits. The post office continued to my military time. I wouldn't have took that job. It was just logical progress because, you know, your time adds up for your retirement because it's still a governmental job. So that was my rationale with that. But I think the gym at the time paid maybe $8 an hour on the floor and I think maybe $15 for a private session. Wow. No money in fitness at the time. However, I loved what I was doing and I had experience doing it. Yes. You know, and then once I got certified and I actually got some training knowledge, it filled in a lot of the gaps for me. Oh, this is why this worked. This is why that sequence of exercises worked when I was in the Navy. You know, it was a whole different understanding. And then by working in the gym, I had access to other people who were fit. So I would hang out with the yoga guys, you know, and again, at this time, there wasn't that money in fitness. So, you know, the yoga person was a real guru. Yeah. You know, I saw the yoga guy in the locker room. He swallow a cloth that was knotted, you know, and he'd swallow it and then swish it around his organs in his stomach and then bring it back up. I was like, what are you doing? He goes, oh, I'm cleaning out my intestines and shit. I was like, damn, man, can you show me? You know, so I'm looking at all of these modalities of fitness, you know? Yeah. And I actually started teaching aerobic class. Yeah. Yeah. So which was funny at 250 pounds. I was like the biggest aerobic instructor.
Still might be the biggest aerobic instructor at 250.
Yeah, maybe. And I taught a jump scope class with a female instructor who actually taught me, who was still tight to this day. Yeah. And so I learned a lot of different modalities. You know, I didn't stick with bodybuilding. I didn't stick with powerlifting. You know, it was always important for me to have an aerobic capacity. I was jumping rope for an hour in the Gulf with the boots on.
Wow.
You know, even when I was in the military. So I always, because you got to pass the physical requirement test in the Navy. So there's always a run or some type of aerobic component. So I always knew the importance of cardiovascular fitness, even though I wasn't certified.
Yeah. Well, and so something I want to highlight and then also talk about in your story, Marc, is just how much you're willing to seek knowledge, right? I think our ego can be our biggest limiter, right? Because we think, hey, we know it all. I don't need to search, for something more. I don't need to learn anything else. And not only did you do that in the fitness realm, right? Being willing to learn from yoga and, all the different instructors, but something else that you did that you caught on to was, hey, there's a lot of people showing up to this gym that wear very expensive suits. I might want to learn from those people. So talk a little bit about how you kind of came into that progression of reaching out and having conversations with folks like that.
Yeah. So, I don't have any business acumen. I'm right out the military.
Yeah.
And, I was training this one lady and she was pretty heavy and I got some weight off of her in a short amount of time. And she was like, hey, I'm Brandy's publicist. Would you like to train Brandy? And I was like, oh, who's that? And she's like, oh, this is girl. She got a record deal. She's just about to get a TV show. She's a little bit too curvy for her role. She's supposed to be playing a young girl named Moesha, the TV show.
Yeah.
But you can start training her. And I was like, how much? And she's like, well, how about $70 an hour? And compared to the $13 I was making, I was like, yo, I'm rich. This is it.
Yeah.
If I can get 10 clients with $70 an hour, that's the first time I considered I could actually do this and make a living. I had no intentions on doing it. I said there was no money in it. I didn't see how I could.
Right.
And I got Brandy and, I guess she's 12 years old. She's over 12 years old. I got her as a client, which is funny. I'm 250 pounds training this 12-year-old girl. And I'm like, what are you eating? She's like, I'm eating a lot of fried chicken. I'm like, don't eat that.
Yeah. Quick time out. No more of that. No more of that.
She eats the salads, the case is closed, I think I might trained her like 8 or 9 times. And then she had to go film the Moesha show in California. So my check flew away, but the idea sparked in my mind. I said, actually, I could make a living doing this if I just apply stuff that I learned in the military. So I started doing recon. Yeah. Now the gym was right in between in this complex on 50th Street between 8th and 9th. I think it's a Bally's right now. The gym is actually still there.
Okay, got it.
In Midtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
And Motown Records is in this complex. Disney is in this complex. A whole bunch of other corporations are in this complex. It's called Worldwide Plaza. Mm. And I'm like, God, man, there's got to be some rich people in here who could actually pay me. Yeah. Let me start paying attention to what these people are wearing. Because, I got my sweats on in the gym. Anytime I saw somebody with expensive shoes, expensive bag, or a suit, I figured they had money. They certainly had more than me.
Yeah.
So I would offer to train them for free.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I'll train you for free, man. I train for free as many times as you come to the gym. I just want to have a lunch with you. And within that lunch, I would ask them how to structure a business. They paid for my lunch. They didn't really know that I really needed that lunch to eat. I didn't really have any money.
Right.
So I get free lunch and I would ask them, what do they do? Recon, what you learn in the military.
Yeah.
Okay, and then some would be like, hey, I'm a publicist. And I was like, hey, what's that about? And they tell me what they do. And I was like, well, if I was a trainer and I wanted to get into a magazine, how would I do that? They go, hey, well, you got to get pictures. So then I would have to train a photographer for free. And then it would go on and so on and so forth. I had some Fortune 500 CEOs. And I would ask them, how do you structure a business? How do you structure a company? How do you do your marketing? I had some fashion designers. How do you design? How do you come up with the ideas? And I would just take notes, sometimes mentally, sometimes I'd write it down.
Yeah.
And till I got an understanding that there's a common denominator with all of these things.
Yes.
After a while, but at the same time, I'm training everybody for free. So I'm living in the projects now.
Right.
So I don't have any money to pay rent. My mom is going crazy. Like, what are you doing? You got your aviation degree. Yep. You don't work in the airport.
Right.
You got your GI Bill. You're not going to school.
Yeah.
And I like, hey, Mom, I think I'm on to something. I think, if I keep training people for free in New York City and all these people are high rollers, once I get that first breakthrough, I'm going to reach a tipping point and it's going to blow up exponentially.
I love this. And so one thing I want to specifically highlight, though, and you said it, and we did breeze over it, but I want to pull that back out was, here I am, this 250-pound in shape guy training a 12-year-old Brandy, right? You can say now Brandy and people are like, oh, well, I know who that is. But when she was 12, it was a very small population that knew that.
She just got a deal. Yep. She just got her deal with Motown, which was in that thing. Yeah. And she was doing a TV show. Right.
And so the thing that I think is interesting, I don't know if you've heard of a guy named Drew Hanlon. He does basketball training, and he did that with Jason Tatum. So Jason Tatum with the Boston Celtics. He started working with Jason when he was in the 6th grade. And, today it's like, well, no brainer. Why wouldn't you work with Jason Tatum? When it's like, well, because at that time he was in 6th grade. Like, I mean, you can notice talent, but you don't know that they're going to become, one of the best players in the NBA. And so once again, I think, Marc, one of the consistent themes I've noticed in your story is your willingness to be humble and to just start.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people today, especially in the entrepreneurial world, and they hear people's stories, they don't understand there's a lot of risk associated with being successful. And, the more risk you take, usually the higher the reward goes. It doesn't always work out like that. Yep. And sometimes it takes longer to actually manifest your dream. But if you don't put anything out, you very rarely get something. It's all a relationship with how much you're willing to risk. So I was willing to live in the projects. I had no money.
Yep.
I ate mackerel, frozen vegetables, and brown rice 4 meals out of every day. The 2 other meals were Twin Lab RX Fuel, which the shakes were terrible back then, like chalk.
Oh, you're not wrong. Yeah. The nutrition game
shakes were the worst ever. You choke off with a gallon of water after you drink a shake. But, I was looking at the protein. I was like, man, this is like 35, 40 grams of protein. This will cost me so much money.
Right.
Which I didn't have. So I was able to maintain my size,
Yes.
With the brown rice, the mackerel, which I probably radiated right now from eating all that canned food, right? My insides. But again, this is all I had. And I wanted to maintain my physique. And then at the time, I took Muscle and Fitness, Muscular Development, and Muscle Mag, because I worked in the gym. I was able to make 100 photocopies of each article about nutrition that was in each one.
Yep.
Staple them together.
Yep.
Put them in my backpack and walk around outside sometimes and just give out free information. No emails.
Yep. Right.
No faxes. No airdropping, and say, hey, I'm Marc Jenkins. Here's an article on fitness and nutrition. And I have my little business card, real hustling. And I think people don't understand now with the technology, you really don't have any excuses these days.
Right.
You really don't have any excuses. Like, I did it like the real old fashioned way.
Yes.
And, that backpack with all of those, how heavy that would be on top of that? So it was crazy. It was crazy. But you know what? I was loving every minute of it because, I felt like I was in the trenches.
Yes.
I felt like I was back in boot camp. Those are some of the fondest memories I have to this day. Getting up out of the projects. I put in my Mobb Deep. Cassette tape, only the strong survive. Survival of the fittest.
Let's
get up with my things and give out paper in the projects and do it, man.
Yeah. So something I want to kind of talk about there is that idea of falling in love with the process, right? Because if you're only in search of the end goal, too many things can go wrong that'll derail you from getting to that end goal, right? But when you're loving what you're doing, the bad days, they suck. We'll just call a spade, but you're willing to overcome it and do it again the next day because you're loving the process. You're loving what you're doing. And so talk a little bit about that for you. I mean, I know you just said, hey, I love what I did.
Well, yeah,
how that kept you going.
It was always, I would always get that high, from seeing the person like me who had something else deep down inside of them, but, they felt like they were holding it back because they didn't feel good about themselves, When you see that process and you see that person manifest, and you see that real person come out, it's like, wow, man, you had a part of that. And they'd be like, thank you. And I'm like, no, dude, it's you. I'm just giving you the information. But it's you. I'm just supplying you the information. It's you who's going through the pain and it's you training, but I'm just honored to be a part of it. Always they're like, oh, thank you, Marc. You did this, I did that. I said, no, dude, I'm just giving you the information. You got to execute it.
Yeah.
So I always put it back on the person. So I give my clients the utmost credit because to train with me is not easy.
I can imagine that.
Yeah, definitely. So,
I'll sign up to be a victim sometime.
You got to get one in.
Yes.
They do well, but I never got tired because I always remember where I was at, and I'm always thankful that somebody took that time out to saw something in me and said, "Let me help this guy."
Yes.
Even the people who I offered to train for a free lunch, they were rich. They could have paid for training.
Yep.
They didn't have to spend their time mentoring me, So I was very thankful of that and always tried to give it back in any way that I could.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So another great opportunity comes to you, and this one really puts you on the map. So the first time we helped somebody lose weight, and that got us a connection to Brandy. The second time we helped somebody gain weight.
Typical ectomorph publicist who's like huge right now, super huge. I get him in shape. I put like maybe 20, 30 pounds of mass on him. He's D'Angelo's publicist, and he goes, "Hey man, we got this guy who can play every instrument. He's incredible. We want to get him from behind the piano. He's very introverted. Can you train with him?" D'Angelo noticed his physique.
Yep.
And wanted to train. And I was like, well, I asked one of my CEO clients how much. They told me to ask Motown for $30,000. And I was like, dude, there's no way you're going to give me $30,000, man. It's impossible. He's like, do I tell you how to train? I was like, no. He said, this is what I'm telling you. They're going to give you the money, but you got to get this guy in shape.
Yes.
You knew better than me. I actually put an invoice in for 30 grand. And they actually gave me the money. I quit my job at the gym.
Yeah.
I incorporated myself. I blew most of the money because I never had 30 grand before, but I did incorporate myself. So I had my business. I did insure myself, and I got an accountant who was another one of my clients.
Yeah.
So I had everything set up at least. I had no money in my account, but I had an accountant.
I was legit. I just didn't have anything.
Yeah. I was legit though. I didn't have a dime in my name after 2 weeks of getting a $30,000 check, but I was legit. And I followed D'Angelo everywhere he went. I slept in front of his hotel room. I trained him, and I really tried to impart into him the lessons that I learned through fitness.
Yeah.
And I tried to take him somewhere mentally as opposed to get him in shape. I said, let me take you somewhere. If you rock with me, I can take you somewhere, and you'll be able to apply these lessons to your music, anything else that's going on in your life. And, him being an artist, and it's a little different with the artist mind because they can visualize and they can understand things a little bit different. They function differently than the regular mind. Yeah. And I was able to connect with his artist mind, and we saw the vision. And what happened in 60 days was the Untitled video. How does it feel when he shot the video with just his torso showing, and the lights going around his body? I think I got him down to maybe 6%, 7%, dried him out, got the water out. He's eating ice cubes that day, and ripped him up. Yeah, man. And it was a great experience. And he got in such good shape, and the video got so tremendous. That was the check that actually got me out of the projects. He took me on the road shortly after that. And then Mary J. Blige took me on the road, and those two guys got me out of the projects. And that was in 2000. So I lived in the projects and sucked it up from 1993, 94 to 2000. Wow. And I tell everybody I was going to be a celebrity trainer, and they would just laugh at me for all those years. Yep. I said, and that's pretty much how I did it. So, and I didn't have it all figured out. Yes. And that's another thing. You can't, I don't think that you can't wait until you have it all figured out. You got to figure out some stuff as you go. Absolutely. And stay present and stay in the journey. If you try to wait until you have everything figured out, 5 years have passed and you still won't have everything figured out.
I love that. And that's so true. And it's true in so many walks of life, man. That's good.
So I didn't know it was I was hoping, what I'm saying? I was hoping, and I had plenty of long-term projects that didn't pan out. Like, I got to marry, I trained her A&R's I trained the barber for a year or two to get to the A&R, which I trained for 2 or 3 years. And then I finally got an opportunity for Mary. So that was a five-year project to get to one client. Yeah. And I had multiple projects like that going on, and most of them didn't work. Yeah. I was just training people for free. I think they say 1 out of every 13 deals go through. That's why you got to make 26 phone calls.
Right. I love that, man. That's so good. Yes. Well, and So one, D'Angelo's, I mean, video, it's still iconic today, right? I mean,
It's still one of the greatest videos they say in music right now.
Yeah, if you're over the age of 18, you've seen this video. And if you're for some reason not able to recall it, just type in D'Angelo and it will be the first video that comes up.
And the Voodoo tour is, to this day, Rolling Stone, one of the top 10 tours of all time. I think it might be number 10, because his energy levels were so great and incredible. He was literally jumping off the speakers and then hitting the falsetto, you know what I mean? Or true.
Yeah.
You know, so at his peak, he was invincible, crushing it in. You know, we created an iconic moment there, and I was able to use that along with the knowledge that I ascertained from training everybody for free to really turn it into something.
Absolutely. Well, and so something that everyone will know about after you tour with Mary, and I mean, I think you did that for what, like 8 years? I mean, you did that for a long time, right?
Yeah, I trained Mary from maybe 2000 all the way up to 2014, 2015,
okay,
long time.
Yeah, even longer than that, yeah. And so a next event, which is a milestone marker, and I'm sure just a phenomenal experience, is you get the opportunity to start interacting with Diddy. And Diddy, I want to quote you on this because I don't want to get it wrong. It was Diddy was telling you how he's a Renaissance man. And you said, well, if you're a Renaissance man, then you need to do something more extreme than just running on a treadmill.
Right. Well, Diddy was blowing me off in the gym. You know, he's I think it was a SkyTel pager at that time, right? So he's every in between, after every set, SkyTel pager, after every workout set. I'm like, this guy, you know, he has no interest in working out, you know.
Yeah.
He's gonna fire me eventually. You know, I'm not able to get a result out of him because I'm not able to motivate him to train or to diet.
Yep.
You know, so eventually he's going to fire me, and this is going to be, you know, training celebrities is the gift and the curse, because if you don't get them in shape, then reputation is spoiled.
Yep. Yeah.
Then you're overcharging and you're not getting the results, and then you can't get any other clients.
Right.
So it's very important when you're training someone high profile. But then I always look at every client like that. You know, like before I'm training somebody and they're not getting in shape, I give them back their money. I say, hey man, you're not ready right now, or it's not a good energetic connection. Maybe I'm not motivating you properly. Might be me.
I love
Here's
that.
your go back. Right. Here's your money back. And you know, let's reassess when you're really ready to get in shape, because I can't walk around the gym floor with someone not getting in shape for my own business.
Right.
So that's another tip to trainers. You know, don't just go for the money. Go for people who really want to get in shape, and then you'll get recognized that way.
I love it.
Yeah. But anyway, with Puff, he was like, he was telling me how much of a Renaissance man he was. And I said, dude, you know, to be a Renaissance man, you have to have an athletic endeavor under your belt.
Yeah.
And at the time I had wrote 2 treatments. I had wrote a marathon treatment because, you know, I was a runner. Yeah. I never saw any black kids running. I didn't see many black people in Central Park. And I'd be like, man, this is something that's free.
Right.
How can I inspire? Yeah, it doesn't cost anything to run. How can I get black people to get out here and run?
Yeah.
It doesn't even mean you got to have a gym membership. I said, damn, well, maybe if I get one of my celebrity clients, that'll motivate them. But D'Angelo didn't want to run 26. Mary didn't want to run 26. So I just kept it in my SkyTel pager.
Yeah.
And then I had Running the Bulls, which I always wanted to try. Still haven't done it.
Dude, let's go. Let's do it.
That might be good. That might be cool. I always wanted to run the Bulls, and I had that written up. And I said, you need to, so he just happened in conversation. And it's a lot of things about just being ready, being prepared. That's another lesson. Just, you know, sometimes have your ideas ready, because you never know when somebody will come up to facilitate them.
Yep.
You know, I said, I got 2 ideas. To be a true Renaissance man, you got to have something under your belt. Here's the marathon, here's Running the Bulls. And to Diddy's credit, 2 days later, he had the full MTV crew.
Yep.
He had done the deal. And we started training for Diddy Runs the City.
Yes.
And that was 2 months before the New York City Marathon. And we ended up raising $2 million for the public school systems. And that was the biggest turnout for the marathon to this date, because all the kids in the hood came out to see Diddy run. After you get out the fancy areas, the marathon's bare, you know, but this time, all the kids came out to watch Diddy run the marathon.
What an impact, man.
A lot of people for fitness, and we generated a lot of money for the public school system. So it was a win-win for everybody. And then it got me on MTV.
I was just saying, I mean, selfishly, right? There was some good things for me too.
As Diddy's trainer, it got me on MTV, and you know, it got me. He introduced me to a lot of other clients. I think it was Diddy that introduced me to Calvin Klein. I was started training Calvin Klein then, and he did a lot for my career. So shout out to Diddy, Mary, and D'Angelo. They all saw I was hungry, took me under their wing. Same thing. They saw I had a little bit of hunger, had some motivation, and they rock with an unknown entity.
I love that. Now, just thinking about that for you, and some of the amazing people you've been able to work with, but also the amazing results you've been able to help them have. I think, as I've just gotten to listen to your story and talk with you, one of the things that just sticks out to me is your passion to help people gain the confidence so that they can be the best version of themselves, right? It's not so much about losing a couple pounds. It's not so much about gaining a couple pounds. It's, I know what confidence can come from transformation in my body and being proud of what I'm presenting.
Well, those type of people who are already successful, you have to come with something other than, I'm going to get you a 6-pack abs. I'm going to, you have to be more like, I'm going to show you how to be more impactful in the other areas of your life.
Right.
That's going to motivate a CEO or someone who's already in charge of hundreds of thousands of people, or somebody who's already worth a couple of $100 million.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you somewhere that you haven't been before mentally, where you're going to have to find something that you might not know you had.
Yep.
And then you're going to be able to then take that and apply that to your employees and get more out of their productivity. Mm-hmm. So it's stuff like that.
I love that, man. That's so good. So as you're doing all the training, right, and you're still doing this today, right? You still train high profile, celebrities and things like that. And something that you do, and if you're watching this, you'll see right behind him, he's got this cover and it says "Jump Off." You get to write a book, man. And
that was my book. That was my first and only book. I have not wrote another book.
There's one coming. I feel like there'll be another one in this life.
Yeah, I'm going to write another one pretty soon. You know what? I didn't want to write the same thing.
Yeah.
I really wanted to make sure that I was in a different space the next time I wrote a book.
Yes.
So I just wanted to be sincere. I could have write a book every year.
Yeah, right.
And keep on making money.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to be able to say, okay, I took this step and this is the level that I'm at now. And this is a transformative stage and this is how I got there. So it took me a lot of years to find out what my next step was and to understand my evolution as a person and just to live,
Yep. Absolutely. Well, and so something I want to highlight, I had a gal on the show and she was talking about how, doing things for a first time, it's not only impactful for people in your circle, but it changes your legacy, right? And so for you, saying, man, I grew up in the projects and now I grew up there, lived there for a long time. And now to be called an author, right? How cool is that the legacy you're creating and the people that you're surrounded with are getting to see what's possible, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to go to all the kids' organizations, all the charities that I do. When I was running my nonprofit out of DC, to actually go into the hood and give kids a book where they could see like, yo, this guy was actually lived in the projects,
Right. Yeah.
It's real. You can do it, and impact people. And that was really the goal with that book. It was something that, each chapter had a celebrity sidebar, how to get endurance like Diddy, how to get abs like D'Angelo, how to get such and such like Busta Rhymes. So I specifically made it so that the kids had enough celebrity star power to gravitate to it. Now these are old celebrities, so I got to do something else.
We're reading the new version of all that.
Kids don't even know who these people are, but at the time, it was something that a parent could score cool points with by saying, "Hey, man, look at this guy. He's like you, and look what he ended up doing."
Right.
And I think I put that out when it first came out. It was a HarperCollins book, and it was the biggest advance ever for a fitness book.
Wow.
So I'm very proud of that, and it came with a free mixtape. And we had the guy from Nike Battlegrounds shoot the pictures in it. So the photography was kind of gritty. So it was a cool creative project,
That's so cool. And so you did just bring it up, a nonprofit that you were running, and that was Muscle and Music for Youth.
Yep.
And, once again, it obviously stems from a genuine, sincere spot of, hey, if I could have had that when I was a kid, how would that have changed my life? But talk about really what the mission of that project is.
Yeah, just to combine, what kids love. They love music, and just to make the exercise and musical environment. I partnered with the United Way in DC, and we hit all the middle schools with live DJ. Came in there and worked them out to the music that they like, music they could relate to. Told my story, had some books for everybody. Each day was branded. Wednesday was Water Wednesday. How much water did you drink? So each day got a little information. We did a sit and reach test. Yeah. And we took our measurements of every kid and tried to get them in shape and get an actual transformation off of them within 60 days and have them read the book. So that was an awesome program with the United Way that we put out. But even now I'm in California, I always try to make sure I reach out to different organizations. We do a lot of speaking, working out with the kids. Kids like to jump rope. So I do a lot of jump rope tricks with them, teach them how to jump and stuff. And they go, oh man, you're 50, you can still do that? I said, yeah, because I started young. You take care of your body. Yes. It will last, you know what I'm saying? So you give them those type of lessons and you tell them that it's not just about fitness, it's about taking the lessons that you learn from fitness. And, a lot of kids and a lot of people to get turned off to exercise because the way it's marketed is very superficial. Oh, my abs, my arms are bigger. Yeah, you want to look good. That's cool. But you want to show up the dedication and the adherence to diet, getting proper sleep, proper hydration. Those are lessons that you can take and apply to anything else that you're doing to be successful. Also, exercise, health, and wellness. Now they call it wellness. Yep. Right? Because you're looking at the whole thing. Right. In the 360 phase, right? So now they call it wellness. Back then they didn't have any wellness. It was just fitness. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now, there's over 8 aspects of wellness. There's social wellness. There's occupational wellness, there's societal wellness, being around positive people that are encouraging you. Yep. There's also physical wellness. Right. Of course, it's mental wellness. Yep. So there's so many different facets of wellness, but if you learn the initial lesson of how to take your external and change it using your internal, your mind, you can then go hit every other quadrant of the wellness till you have a 360 thing going for yourself. Yep. And then once you get that 360 thing going, you're giving yourself more time to be successful, more time and optimal to pursue your goals, whether you're a CEO or you're an athlete. It's all applicable.
I love that. That's so good. So, Marc, an idea, a concept that was presented to me years ago, but it's really just been something that I love asking successful people about is the concept is blissful dissatisfaction. Okay. And so the idea or the premise of it is a lot of people, when they hit their first goal, plateau because they finally hit that goal, right? It's like, man, I made it. Like, I'm good now. Like I hit my goal. Then there's kind of the other end of the spectrum, which I think from your story and just knowing myself, you and I would fall into, and that is every time we hit a goal, we don't even take the time to recognize we hit the goal because we're on to the next thing and we're always aspiring to get to more. So how have you balanced that in your life, being proud of the things you've accomplished, but yet not losing the desire to continue on to more?
Well, I know for me, I went through phases because, you go through maturing, so for me, I was literally living in the projects and then seeing myself on MTV. Right. So, I guess I went through my ego inflated. Yeah, man.
Rightfully so, by the way. Rightfully so. That's a pretty cool accolade.
I think I went through my phases, and then hopefully, you grow out of it, and you have people around you that try to pull you back. Like, okay, you're going a little, fall back a little bit. You're getting a little crazy.
And then, you're not Diddy. You're Diddy's trainer, okay? You're
right. Exactly. You try to reassess. You come back down to earth, and then you look at other goals. Like for me, once I got in shape, it was always, okay, what can I do with my body? I just don't want to walk around looking like a poster, Yep. Can I run? Can I fight? So I always look to, even with my own training, because training is interesting because, you're using perceived exertion, right? So if I'm training you, I'm perceiving how many sets of reps you can get within a set. Yep. Right? So it's pretty much my perception of what 100% intensity is. Right. So once I'm not doing that anymore, then my perception is off. I'm not effectively training you. Yes. So me realizing that, I always have to put myself in a situation where, number one, I'm not too good at the thing I'm doing. Yep. Right. So my ego's out of it. I'm always backing the student. And then number two, I'm trying to do it as hard as I can. So I have a real sense of what 100% is. I'm not overtraining you. I'm not undertraining you. I'm just trying to bring you to a place where you have to dig a little bit deeper each time to complete what we have to do. So the reps and sets are abstract numbers. The real goal is to get you someplace where you haven't been. And that's what forces adaptation.
I love that.
You necessarily have to go heavier and heavier each exercise. I can cut the rest between sets. I can combine 2 exercises and elongate the set. There's different ways of increasing the intensity. I could pre-exhaust your aerobic system before you do the exercise. But just something that forces you to adapt a little more, to dig a little bit more, then you're getting the benefit. Then you're like, okay, let me go see Marc as opposed to training on my own or training with somebody else. And I only train for transformation. I don't train to retain clients.
So I love that. And when you say it, it's so genuine too, that I know you mean it. It's not like you're just saying it, but I think something else that you said that I think probably makes working with you fun is the difference, right? So many times you get in this monotonous consistency of, hey, I show up, I do the same 3 lifts, I do the same 6 lifts, and I do the same amount of sets, same amount of reps. And you're talking about, well, you might do the same if you decided to, right? You could do the same lifts, but maybe do more sets or do 2 lifts at the same time, or go run for 20 minutes and then do the lifts, right? And so that gets your body moving and changing in and of itself because you're doing things differently.
Right. Now, also discover that there's a sequence of a pattern of exercises. There's a sequence. There's a mid-range exercise, there's a stretch component, and there's a contraction component. Okay. Usually you want to stretch a muscle before you contract it so you recruit 100% muscle fiber.
Okay, yeah.
The mid-range will be your compound movement, right? Yep. So as long as I take your muscles through a mid-range, stretch, and a contraction, I don't have to do the same workouts with you every day.
Yep. I love
right?
that.
And then I'm able to place the muscle in different areas. So that became what the Marc Jenkins method is. It's a methodology of mid-range, stretch, contraction, stretch reflex, fiber recruitment, combined with aerobics and functional training. Because, I think the functional guys, I think they got it all wrong. It's great to be functional, but that general population wants to look good.
Right.
I'm going to say it again. All of you guys, who are doing the NASM, stability on one Bosu ball with the leg, with the curls, with the thing. It's incredible because you're developing your core. Yeah. You're working multi-planes. I get it. I totally get it. But if you want to retain your clients, and you want to get a reputation, your clients want to look good. Yes. You have to be able to combine the aesthetic aspect as well as the conditioning, because a person can't walk into a boardroom and go, hey, I can balance on one leg on a Bosu while I'm doing rotations and multi-plane. But they know when you walk into a boardroom and you're 6% and you have a waist to chest differential, you're commanding that power without even saying anything. You won half the deal.
That's right.
You already got half the job done. Once you're commanding that and you come in there with that presence and you're sitting there looking, whatever you say after that is a given. You've already won psychologically.
I love that.
So that's why business people and entrepreneurs get into my training system, because they get the functionality, because I'm functional. I'm in jiu-jitsu now. Okay. At F50. I actually got an amateur boxing fight. I think I'm doing in August. Masters.
That's cool.
And I was so mad because they just told me the Masters is 35 and up. I'm like, what kind of shit is that? I thought I was going to be fighting old guys like me.
yeah, can we get like a 45?
How's that Masters 35 and up? It's so crazy. But I got no control of that. So I'm training in October. Yeah. For a boxing and I guess over 200 is heavyweight. So I'm in a heavyweight with 35-year-olds. I'll be fighting.
Wow.
So this should be interesting in October. This should be interesting.
I was gonna say, one, I'm gonna keep in contact and stay up.
We'll see how that goes.
But 2 in December, we'll record episode 2, and it'll just be a dive into that.
I said, somebody my age, I could get a trophy. I could beat up on them. When they told me I was like, oh man, that's terrible. 35? What is that? That's not Masters. So that's a bummer.
That's funny. It sounds like we need to create our own.
But I was stepping up to the challenge. That's going to be interesting. So I'm challenging myself, and I'm trying to maintain the same bodybuilding aesthetic at the same time. Still trying to have the quad flare, still trying to have the tapered waist, still trying to have the waist to chest differentials and the guns and all that stuff. So you can do both. You can look good and you can be functional at the same time. So I'm really trying. My ultimate goal is to be able to get into the octagon, but that's going to be like a 2 or 3 year because I have no ground game. So So I got a jiu-jitsu. I'm going to 10th Planet, the headquarters.
Okay.
And I got a great boxing coach. I'm getting a Muay Thai coach. And I'm going to practice for 3 or 4 years and see if I can I'll be like super old man league by then. I'll be 54, 55. And I'm going to jump in there and see what happens. So you got to have long-term goals, short-term goals. You got to have fun as it's going on. Yep. You got to keep challenging yourself because if it was just for me to look good, I've already mastered that.
Right.
There would be no challenge for me. I wouldn't be given 100%. And then more than likely, I'd be undertraining the people who I encounter. So just to keep myself sharp, you got to keep your edge.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's very important.
I love it. Well, Marc, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. And as I promised everyone, a fascinating story and just a fascinating guy. You know, a couple of things that just stick out throughout our time together is once again, just how humble and eager you are and how that's led you to all these spots. But then secondly, your desire to learn and your willingness to learn from others and how that's allowed you to catapult into, you know, the prominence and the roles that you've had. So Marc, thanks again so much for sharing your story today, man.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for having me, guys. You can always reach me, markjenkinsfitness.com and mark@markjenkinsfitness.com if you got a question. Thank you for having me. We got to get a workout in.
Let's go. I can't wait. I'll be there soon, brother.
All right. Peace and love, bro.